Welcome to The Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is The Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to The Clean Slate Podcast. I'm your host, Carson Phillips, here with Daniel Garza.
What up? I'm the other host.
Yep. And today we are bringing you guys something new that we've been teasing for a long time. And this is a segment we're calling The True Story Behind. And today it's Psycho. The true story behind Psycho and the infamous Ed Gein.
Okay, cool. The true story behind.
Yeah, so have you seen
I like that.
This movie before? Is this something you're familiar with?
So no, I obviously am a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock, but for whatever reason, I just never really got around to watch the full movie of Psycho. And I understand all the references, like the shower scene, the knifing scene, the music, all those different types of things. Those are very apparent in the horror genre, so I felt like I knew what I was watching. But as a first time watcher, I think it was actually really, really entertaining. I think I've jumped on board on these older movies. This is a 60s movie, and the 60s I would probably say is becoming one of my favorite genres of movies.
There's some goodies, man.
Yeah.
There's some secrets hidden in there.
And anyway, all that being said, I was kind of not expecting everything that I watched, and it was definitely a loop. But this movie is based on a true story, so we wanted to cover that and hit some of the points of what inspired this movie, how true and accurate is it to the real story that this is based off of, and see how much is Hollywood and how much is real horror.
Yeah. Well said. Do you want to go ahead and read them the log line for this one?
Yeah, guys. So here's the Psycho movie, 1960, Alfred Hitchcock. A secretary on the run for embezzlement takes refuge at a secluded California motel owned by a repressed man and his overbearing mother. We've all been there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry, mothers. We should have done this on Mother's Day.
We should have. This should have been our Mother's Day special.
Yeah, mother knows best. So as Daniel said, this is the classic film Psycho. We know it. We love it. If you haven't seen it before, what's stopping you? It's not overly scary. I think it's just a well-told story, though.
Right.
It's a well-made film.
Yep.
But there's some interesting facts before we get into the nitty-gritty of how this film was made and what inspired it. This is the first movie to ever feature a toilet flushing on camera.
That is crazy. In the 60s.
Yeah, we were... repressed back then in general.
Real film didn't start until this movie, until our first toilet flush.
Yeah. Well, now we got Michael Bay directing the Skibbity Toilet movie. So.
Oh my god, dude. That's so bad.
Another fun fact, kind of Daniel was hinting at the pedigree of this movie having all kinds of films that have been inspired by, and also films that have been inspired by Ed Gein as well. But this, if you've seen Halloween, not really inspired by Psycho much, but there's a character named Loomis in Halloween there's a character in Psycho who's Loomis. So it's kind of a fun little nod to all you horror fans. Also, the actress from Halloween, her mom is this lady.
Wow.
Or her aunt or grandma or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's her mom. But yeah, fun fact.
Yeah, sweet. Okay.
Anyways, let's jump into things.
All right, so tell us about the early story or the real story of Ed Gein.
Yeah, so the movie Psycho was originally it's based on a book by Robert Bloch, or Bloch, I think it's Bloch. But I've read that book. It's pretty good. It's very different than the movie in some ways. They kind of make Norman to be a little bit different in the movie. But the author of that lived near Ed Gein and heard this story of what Ed Gein was doing and saw it in the newspaper. So he was inspired to write this story. And then when the book was all done, he noticed some parallels between it. And then one thing leads to another. Alfred Hitchcock buys the book secretly through someone else. That way he could pay a really cheap rate to the writer.
Wow.
Robert. So he got ripped off big time.
Wow.
And
that's the real story right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hollywood is evil even in the 60s.
Yep.
Probably especially in the 60s. But... yeah, then you have the movie that comes out being this crazy movie. People loved it. But let's get into the real story that inspired it, which is Ed Gein. So the thing with like Ed Gein is he seems like a pretty normal person. He was born in Sleepy, Wisconsin in 1906. So he was just kind of seemed to be a normal dude at first, but his home was dominated by his mother named Augusta, who was a not so great lady.
Beautiful lady.
You might call her a zealot.
Ooh.
She did preach that women were evil. She also said that sex was if God made it enjoyable, he should have made. She basically said sex wasn't made enjoyable by God, so I'm not going to have sex with my husband. And so that's why she had 2 boys, and she hated them. So she isolated them both, or maybe she was obsessed with them. Who knows? They were very isolated. Ed kind of grew up as the weird kid at school. We all had like that weird kid at school. That's kind of who Ed was. And I know there was like one time where he made a friend for the first time. And his mom's like, you're not allowed to have friends. Here's why that kid sucks. So he was kind of forced to be the weird kid. Maybe some of it was natural. I'm not a psychologist. Ed's life takes kind of a dramatic turn in 1944 when his brother, Henry, was killed while they were trying to fight a brush fire. But when they found his body, which Ed led them to, the authorities, had bruises on it, not burn marks. So that's, I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, interesting.
Suspicious?
Yeah.
Yeah, he never admitted to it, but and no autopsy was performed either.
Wow.
So kind of weird.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you want to take this next part?
So then we get the death of Augusta, the beautiful lady. So she dies in 1945.
She was a baddie, dude.
You stop. Ed seals off her bedroom as a shrine, which similarity is already right there in the film.
Yeah, that's in Psycho.
And it is quoted by Harold Schechter that he lost his only...
he's from both of our sources.
Okay, cool. So he lost his only friend and one true love, and he was absolutely alone in the world. Man,
Dang.
That is kind of tough. And we're starting to see the parallels here from Psycho. So just to like, before we even know anything, that we know that he has this overbearing mother in, and then we see this too in the show Bates Motel, but in specifically Psycho, he is this. He kind of goes on that long rant about taxidermy and how like and that kind of showcasing a little bit more of like how. There are these things that he can, like, it's not a hobby, but it's a way that he, like, because I liked actually the line where he said, a hobby is something that you pass time, that you spend all your time doing, or something like that. And, but you can see how truly, really alone he is, and our first, I guess she's not a protagonist, maybe she is our protagonist. She starts to see this and realize that, man, this guy's got some deep dark secrets, and you can just see the loneliness in Norman Bates's charisma, character, what have you.
Yeah, he's definitely way more charismatic in the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Ed Gein seems like a bumbling weirdo, but anyways, one thing led to another, and Ed starts to lose his mind, for lack of a better term. He's not as normal as he was. His mother may have been holding him back from his true potential, and he begins robbing graves, which is, problematic. Some of his more normal hobbies, like an obsession with horror magazines, I get that one. I would write for Fangoria if they asked me. Wink, wink. But also less normal hobbies like being obsessed with Nazi medical experiments and death, and of course the female anatomy, which is a bit unnerving. And yeah, all that kind of does play into what he does once he starts grave robbing. He takes usually middle-aged women similar in age to his mother, their bodies, and preserves their skin and body parts. That was his MO. And when they went through his house later on after he was arrested, he had masks that were made from skin, bowls that were made from skulls, and human skin furniture, which is, that's a lot of skin.
I wonder if that's where maybe Hollywood kind of got the taxidermy like idea from for this, is like that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're right. And like, we'll talk about this more later on, but Ed Gein inspired more than just Psycho. Like, we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
What's the other one? Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill. So this dude definitely captured a bunch of weird directors' minds, and they ran with it. But he's probably scarier than some of these other fictional characters. Now, he's not technically a serial killer. He does have only a few victims, but his
Only
first
got a few
murder,
bodies.
if you don't count his brother, yeah, was Mary Hogan. She was killed in 1954. She owned a tavern and just vanished one day.
Wow.
And Ed was quoted as saying this: "She's not missing. She's down at the house right now," which that's disturbing. So that's kind of what happened to poor Mary. And then his final victim, at least known victims, was Bernice Warden from 1957. She was a hardware store owner. There is a hardware store that's kind of featured in the Bates Motel show quite significantly, so kind of a reference there. But Ed was her final customer. He purchased antifreeze, so they found that on the receipt. And her corpse was actually, I think, the first one discovered. It was found hanging upside down, gutted like a deer in his shed, which prompted them to search his home. So a little bit more violent.
Yeah,
Psycho.
that's
Psycho's
like
a little bit more.
a huge jump from what we've seen in the movie. Like
Yeah,
this
it's a
almost
bit more,
leans more
foul.
towards like Texas Chainsaw Massacre a little bit. Besides the main character and the mother's portion of it, like the gruesomeness is like heavily like we see that in TCM. Like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
Like, gross level of like inhumane. I mean, there's no way to be a humane serial killer, but
Wow.
it's foul. Yeah, but inside the house, do you want to talk about some of the stuff they found?
I think you kind of covered this, but the human skin mask, chairs upholstered in skin, lampshade made from a face, I don't know if I can say this, but a belt from the upper pectoral region.
You know this part right here on me?
Yep. We have
Nipples.
other things that were made into
you can't
shoe.
say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Other things that are made
You
into
can't say
shoe
that
boxes, and then skulls for or soup bowls for skulls, and Mary Hogan's face in a paper bag. We also had a torso skin suit, and investigators said that he wanted to literally crawl into her skin.
You know, it's crazy as Alyssa tells me that all the time.
That's creepy, man. It's like it's creepy once you like kind of put this together and like how gruesome the actual like story is.
It's disgusting, yeah.
Because now it's almost like because I was thinking before knowing all this is that the movie was going to embellish way more in terms of like right because that's what Hollywood is now. It wasn't like that in the 60s, but it would do that today. Is like make something crazy more happen just so that like you can get a good story. But it seems like the actual story is completely worse, and they almost had to tone down Psycho.
I mean, I think technically his amount of kills is less in real life, but Norman killed way more. Obviously, they're not going to show this on screen. Like, if flushing a toilet on screen was controversial.
Too inappropriate.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and I also heard that I don't know how true this is, but there's like this idea that people were passing out during the shower scene of Psycho. I doubt it, but I don't know. That's what
I
I've
mean,
heard.
it was a different time back then. I would believe it.
I mean, you never know. Yeah, but basically what ended up happening to kind of like wrap up the story of Ed, if you want to get deeper into this, there are some great sources. There's one that I like called Did You Hear What Ed Gein Done?, which is a comic book. It's a graphic novel with a true crime writer and an amazing artist alongside. And then that same writer also has a book called, what is it called? Let me look it up.
Well, maybe we can just link it down below.
Yeah, I'll link it down below. I think it's called like Demented or something like that. Pervert something.
Okay.
Deviant. So there's also the
Okay.
book Deviant if you're interested in learning more. Those are the two main sources we use. But as far as like how this story kind of wraps up, he was declared insane and unfit for trial after, they found all this stuff. Everything was starting to be like more confirmed, like the grave robbing. He was tried in 1968, found guilty, but he was also declared legally insane, which is actually kind of rare to have happen. I don't know at the time, but in the grand scheme of American history, that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
He spent his life at a state hospital in Wisconsin, and he was known as being well-behaved and quiet. He gardened a lot.
Wow.
Then he died at the amazing ripe old age of 77 in 1984.
That's crazy.
So,
that actually
just
doesn't
know,
feel
guys.
so far. Like,
no, that's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
But you could be a horrible person and still live a long time. Just keep that in mind, folks.
yeah.
But as far as similarities go, we kind of touched on some of them.
Yeah.
Like there's the obsession with mother. preserved rooms, the kind of small town vibes. Him becoming mother. I mean, I guess in Psycho he has like DID, right?
Yeah.
Ed Gein didn't really have that. He had something else going on. I don't know what, but
yeah, and I guess that could be mainly like the differences too that we're seeing is that like one, obviously the main story is way more graphic and gruesome, but at the same time you get this story that has the twist in it that, spoiler alert, that Norman Bates is his mom. So like whenever the kills are happening on screen, it's actually him.
Think it's the mom.
Yeah, you think it's the mom, but it's actually him on screen. Killing these people or unaliving them, if we have to say it that way. But
maybe on TikTok with you.
Yeah, I know, right? So Gein wanted to become his mother physically, and I don't know if that's actually a difference though, because
I mean, I think Norman thought he was his mother though.
Oh yeah, because he was
gone, right?
Like he was in the head of his mom, and he wasn't. And they kind of explained that at the end.
I think the way they present that is probably not super accurate with actual psychology, at least what we understand now. Ed Gein might have more complicated psychological issues, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not the one to unwrap that.
People, so. Because then you
true.
have like Norman, who's, he is this like really sweet and inviting guy. He's very like,
he's super charismatic.
Yeah, and inviting to just be like, hey, how's it going? Yeah. Oh, no, he's like really good with his words. But then just from like, Gein and everything, he's more of like that guy who's like a shut-in, kind of the people that we... Okay, so anyway, so we have those like differences in the character of Norman and then also the true story of Ed.
Yeah. Who's scarier to you?
Honestly, I would say Ed. Well, okay, that's hard.
Really?
It's hard because Norman is so like a nice guy that you would almost never.
Yeah.
But to be fair though, when Norman is pressed in the movies or in the movie by anybody, you can see him crack so quickly,
so easily.
Yeah.
Too.
So I mean, I would probably say Ed, but at the same time, just by the description, I would stay away from Ed.
I think
all the time.
Norman's a little bit scarier.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like he does seem like a normal person on the surface. Actually, you know what? I'm going to flip again. I'm going to say it's Ed because I've come to assume that the quiet ones are the scary ones. Like, I feel like we all kind of think that now, just because of other killers that have become famous and just like, I know there's people I personally know that end up finding out later on that they're freaks and I don't want to be around them. Like people I knew in high school.
Yeah.
They're weird. And for Ed though, you already know he's weird. But then when it's confirmed, that's scarier.
Yeah.
I feel like. Because you're like, oh, he's weird, but you don't actually think they're going to do anything.
All right. So I think, do we have anything else to add to this? We kind of covered the rest of it.
Yeah, I think if you guys want to get into this more, there's some great documentaries where they've actually got some clips of Ed talking. There's also like the book and the comic I mentioned. Also, and maybe we'll review this in the future, the next season of Monster on Netflix. Season 3 will be covering Ed.
Ooh, whoa.
Played by Charlie Hunnam.
Oh, wow. Okay. Of course, they have to get a hot guy. Okay, so now to wrap this up, we want to see how true the actual story is to the film that was released. So why don't you go first, Carson? How true is the film?
Oh, it's not that true, but I still feel like the gist of what makes Ed so creepy and what makes Norman so creepy is the same, like the heart of it.
Yeah,
the heart of mommy issues, I think, is the main thing here, right? So I'm going to say maybe like 15%, which I feel like is high, but that's what I'm going to go with.
15%? Do you think it's high?
I feel like that's high. Out of 100?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I feel like I was gonna shoot
not much.
way more, but okay, you're right. You're right. I was trying to gauge it based off of the murder, right? Not so. Okay, you're right. I would say probably the main story and everything in is probably about 25%, and just the way of the mom.
Okay.
And the recluse, because he's still a recluse by nature. Because by the end of the film, you find out that his mom is actually dead. So he's been living this way for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 25% accurate. The rest I wouldn't say is embellished, but it is now let's make a story based off of this scary guy. To be honest, I think
It's definitely like a headline, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the headline is what it's based on.
right, because also I guess they never owned a motel, or
Yeah, no. They had like stores and stuff.
yeah,
That's,
exactly.
like,
So guys,
similar.
I would say, yeah, this isn't that true to the actual story. I would like to see the true story, like,
Monster season 3, baby.
come out. Yeah, and
I'm kind of nervous.
so yeah, guys, tell us what you think about this format. We really kind of want to start doing these things about how true is the story, or how, what did you call it? How true? What was your
The story behind. We're workshopping the name.
the
but I
story
liked it so far.
behind the story, behind the film.
Oh. Behind the story is better.
Behind the story. Okay, guys. So we want to keep doing this, maybe like once a month or once every quarter. Just do a deeper dive into a movie and not be so like, did you like it? Did you not? So anyway, guys, tell us what you think. We have a lot of good movies to just like some new ones, but also some classics. One of them that I want to cover is Zodiac. Like, even though that's not a finished...
That might be a two-parter.
Yeah, even though it's not a finished, like, documentary, like, I really want to cover that one and see, like, the comparisons and different things like that. Ted Cruz. What? Like, the politician? What did you say?
Yeah, look it up. Look it up, bro.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. Anyway, guys, so go ahead, watch Psycho. Read the books that Carson was telling us about.
Yeah, good stuff.
Don't read the books.
Great audiobook before bed. I had it on 2x speed.
That's creepy.
While writing this.
Anyway, guys, so next month we are getting back into our normal format. So we have a couple more movies for you guys next month. But until then, go like, subscribe, follow us on all of our socials. You can find it on our channel in the link tree. And yeah, guys, share it with your friends. Give us a rating and tell us what you guys want us to review next. What you guys want us to review next. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace. That's a clean slate.